Good evening. Tests. Good evening. We'd like to begin our Provo Municipal Council meeting this evening. It's Tuesday, June 3rd at 5:30 p.m. And we'll begin with a roll call, starting with Councillor Handley. George Handley, Craig Christensen,
Becky Bogdan.
Gary Garrett.
Rachel Whipple.
Thank you. And we excuse Councillor Catrice McKay, who is traveling this evening, and also Councillor Travis Hoban, who may join us remotely shortly. He's on now. Councillor Hoban, can you hear us? Okay, I see his indication here. We excuse also Mayor Kafusi, who is away this evening on family business.
Hey, Gary, I'm on. I just
Okay.
let me join as a panelist. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hoban. We'll begin with an invocation offered by Hannah Peterson, after which Councillor Christensen will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful for our many blessings this evening. We're grateful for the beautiful place around us. We're grateful for the opportunity to meet together. We're grateful for those who serve us. We're grateful for our safety and our freedoms and our peace. We pray for the Spirit to be with us. Help us to be kind and good, to recognize our blessings and to serve those around us. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would everyone stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councillor Christensen, and thank you, Hannah. We're thrilled to welcome so many of our firefighters this evening and others who are participating in the pinning ceremony tonight. So we'll turn the time over to Chief Hedman, who will lead us in this exercise. Chief, welcome.
Thank you, council and family, for being here. This is an awesome opportunity. This is a great year for us in Provo Fire Department. We've hired 8 new firefighters starting this year. The first 5 that I'm going to introduce were newer firefighters that went through our recruit camp. They spent 8 weeks with our training battalion chief, Ryan Risky, learning the ropes and the way we do things in Provo. They were all priorly trained as firefighters and EMTs, but we like to make sure they are familiar with all of what Provo has to offer. I'll start off with calling up Statler Bascom. Statler is a 23-year-old. He was born and raised in Santaquin. Statler is an avid outdoorsman and loves to spend time in the mountains. He and his beautiful wife, Aaliyah, and daughter, Paisley, who are the center of his world. Statler got his EMT at the beginning of 2024, and shortly after that got hired as a part-time EMT with Santaquin Fire Department, where he also got his fire certification. Statler joined the fire service and is excited to serve the citizens of Provo. I'd like to invite Aaliyah to come up and pin his badge. Next, I want to invite up Todd McMillan. Todd was born in New York, grew up in both Nevada and Utah. After serving a 2-year mission in Texas, Todd was encouraged to try wildland firefighting by one of his mentors. He was able to complete 3 seasons of wildland and worked on many different certifications. Todd completed his EMT and it went through UVU's program to get his Fire 1 and Fire 2 through the RCA program. He's also excited to be here and part of Provo Fire Department. I'd like to invite his wife Bailey to come up and pin his badge. Next, I'd like to invite Daniel Sanchez to come up. Daniel was born and raised in Cache Valley, Utah. He attended Green Canyon High School, where he was actively involved in football, wrestling, lacrosse. Following high school, he served a mission for his church, first in Ohio and then later in Guatemala. And he learned a language, Quechua, which is a Mayan language. Obviously, I don't speak it well. In 2023, he married Taisley Parkinson. After nearly 2 years at Utah State University, he discovered a strong passion for public service and decided to pursue his career in firefighting. He enrolled in Bridgerland Technical College, where he earned his certifications in Fire 1, Fire 2, Hazmat Awareness and Ops, ropes, rescue, and vehicle extrication, and also got his EMT certification. I'd like to invite his wife Taisley to come up and pin his badge on. Next, I'd like to invite Zach Stopper to come up. Zach was raised in southern Utah, and he can be found enjoying his free times out in nature. He has the love for all things outdoors: hiking, fishing, climbing, hunting, backpacking, and canyoneering. Zach's grandfather was his guide in these adventurous hobbies and also introduced Zach to the world of firefighting. Zach started his career in fire and EMS at Bryan Head Fire Department during his teenage years and early adult years. He found his way up north to pursue his education at UVU, where he went through the Recruit Candidate Academy. And then he worked for Utah County Fire on the wildland crew for 4 years. He married his wife Anna in February of 2021 and recently welcomed his daughter June just 5 weeks ago, which happened during recruit camp, so he was pretty busy. Zach finds ultimate joy spending time with his family and loved ones. I'd like to invite Anna to come up and pin Zach's badge. I'd like to invite Hunter Thomason to come up. Hunter is married to Josie Thomason and soon to be a father. He's a proud son of Mark and Sheila Thomason and brother to Spencer, Maddie, Katie, and Tanner. He grew up in New Hampshire and Utah, served a mission for his church in Sierra Leone. Soon after he met his wife while attending college, he was married in 2022. Hunter enjoys the outdoors, spending time with family and friends, and living for the memories. He's excited to serve as a Provo firefighter and looks forward to progressing in his career. I'd like to invite Josie to come up and pin his badge. The last three firefighters are what we call them a lateral because they had prior fire experience, all of which are paramedics. The first one I'd like to call up is Brandon Coolman. And Brandon was raised in Orem. He got married in 2008 to his wife Cassie. He has three children, 16-year-old son Branson, 12-year-old daughter Oakley, and a 7-year-old daughter Bellamy. He and his family moved to Hurricane, where he and his wife became firefighter EMTs and worked in Hurricane Valley for 13 years. He decided to move back to Utah County, and we were lucky enough to hire him. His dad retired from Provo Fire Department as a deputy chief I don't know, when I was a younger firefighter, so a while ago. I'd like to invite Cassie to come up and pin his badge. Next, I'd like to invite Scott Beardall to come up. Scott was born and raised in Provo. He graduated from Timpview High School. He currently lives in Payson with his wife Brittany and their three children, Shelby, Blake, and Piper. He's an outdoor enthusiast and loves to ski, golf, bike, fish, horseback ride, and travel. Scott has 17 years of fire experience. 15 of those were with Orem Fire Department as a senior firefighter paramedic, as well as a fire investigator in the fire marshal's office. He also spent 2 years with Pleasant Grove as a lieutenant engineer. He served on several special units throughout his career, one of which is the Utah County Special Response Team and the Utah County Arson Task Force. He's excited to be working for the department that serves the community he grew up in. And I'd like to invite Captain Brian Roberts to come up and pin his badge. The last firefighter is not here. Jeff Wise, he's had family obligations out of state. Jeff was born in Anaheim, California. He moved to Orem when he was 8 years old. Married his wife Nicola for the past 28 years. He has 2 daughters and 2 sons, 4 grandkids. He loves spending time with family, camping, hiking, biking, and fishing. He started his career as a volunteer firefighter for Springville in 1995 and also worked for South Jordan Fire Department in 1995 to 1999. We hired Jeff initially in 1999, where he worked as a paramedic. He was an engineer, he was a captain, and he retired as a battalion chief a little over a year ago. And then we were fortunate enough to talk him into coming back as a paramedic. So he is it's been around a long time for Provo Fire Department. We're excited to have him back. I'll invite Heidi to come up and swear them all in.
All right, I'll have you raise your right arm and just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
Constitution of the State,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations.
Thank you again for letting us invade and honor these new firefighters. Do we want to?
We do, yes,
Sure.
thank you. Come, if you'd all come here in front of the dais. Thank you, Chief. What an honor for us to participate in that experience. So yes, let's do a group photo and have you all stand here in front of the dais and we'll come down. Or we'll just stand behind you since there are so many. We'll hover. Scott, come on here. Thank you again, Chief, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank
Let me acknowledge also, I failed to recognize in the absence of Mayor Kafusi tonight, Deputy Mayor Isaac Paxman is representing her. Our final presentation before public comment will be by Megan McMillan, our council intern, who will present on the fiscal 2026 Provo City Citizens Budget. Megan. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to present today on the 2026 Citizens Budget for Provo City. As mentioned on the title page, this is prepared based off of the information from the tentative budget for fiscal year 2026. And the council office aims to summarize the key components and highlights from the tentative budget. The citizens budget will be published on the council's social media and website after final budget adoption, and we hope that you and the citizens of Provo will find it useful. So this first page features the revenue summary section. This section includes information about total revenues and transfers in, which is projected to be almost 307 million. Information about the city's most significant revenue sources is also included, and the corresponding amounts can be found on that page. This page also explains more about taxes, fees, and transfers in the budget for those who'd like to know more information. And at the bottom of the page, we have comparisons of budgeted and actual totals for sales tax revenues from 2022 until this upcoming fiscal year. The projected amount for this upcoming fiscal year is around $27 million. Page 2 features the expenses summary. The most significant expenses in the proposed budget come from the enterprise funds, the general funds, and the internal service funds. Total expenditures and transfers out are shown on the left, with this upcoming year's projected total being approximately 348 million. An explanatory section is in the middle of the page. This is general information about a lot of the city's funds for people who'd like to learn more about that. And this page also includes more in-depth information about general fund expenditures and transfers out, which are estimated to be around $89 million. The breakdown of the general funds are shown in the graph on the right, with police, fire, and parks being the top three. And then this next page is the capital projects page, and those are budgeted to be 78.53 million in fiscal year 2026. And the graph in the center of the page shows project costs across the city. The highest cost for this upcoming fiscal year is energy, and then second, the airport, and third, wastewater. At the bottom of the page, we've featured 4 of the most significant capital projects for the upcoming fiscal year, with the most monetarily significant one being the rebuilding and upgrading of the substation transmission system, which I had to look up, and it is simply all about getting power to your home. This page is the funding and saving page. Here we've highlighted some of the efficiency measures that have been taken throughout the city. As stated by the mayor when she presented the tentative budget, the city seeks to use every tax dollar wisely and strives to deliver high-quality services to citizens. Each city department has worked hard to find ways to cut expenses and increase revenues for this upcoming year. And some highlights from those discussions are included here. We have reduced travel, utilizing grant funding, changing policies and processes, and leveraging AI, and then having more cost-conscious operations. This page is a new page that we added this year. We wanted to showcase some of the city's achievements, as well as the city's vision, and some information about looking ahead in the upcoming years. We've included a few short sentences at the end, highlighting how this year's budgetary process fits into Provo's long-term goals of financial success and fiscal health. Lastly, we have a page on elected officials, which includes information about each of you as council members, as well as the mayor, and your contact information. Additionally, at the bottom of the page, we've included an explanation about the process by which the budget is adopted, as well as a link to the full tentative budget. If anyone has questions, I am happy to answer those now.
Megan, thank you so much. This citizens budget is so helpful to the residents of Provo to have the information accessible to them and certainly much more understandable. We'll have our first public hearing tonight, followed by a second in 2 weeks, at which time we'll vote as a council. And as everyone knows, we tentatively adopted the budget, approved the budget 2 weeks ago. Do any council members have questions for Megan at this time? All right. Thanks again, Megan. Thank you so much for your work on this. Very helpful. We'll now begin the public comment period of our meeting. As indicated on the screen, a required public hearing will be held for certain agenda items prior to council action. After each such item has been presented, time to comment will be provided for all those who wish to speak. Please note that item 11 on the agenda tonight has been continued to a future council meeting. For items that do not require a public hearing, public comment will still be taken following the presentation of the item. At this time, up to 15 minutes have been set aside for an open public comment period, which is intended to allow comment on matters that do not appear on the agenda, but are limited to topics regarding municipal business or within municipal council purview. During any public comment period, each speaker will generally be limited to 2 minutes. Due to noticing requirements, no formal action will be taken in this meeting on matters that do not appear on the agenda. Those with comments are invited to approach the podium. Any participating on Zoom can use the raise hand function or feature to indicate they wish to comment. And we'll now open public comment.
I'm John Hale. I live in Provo. Martha's Vineyard is known for having policies that align with sanctuary cities. However, when 50 migrants were flown to Martha's Vineyard, some began to voice concerns about the strain on resources. It was easy for the people of Martha's Vineyard to openly advocate for sanctuary policies until the immigrants were actually living in their community. Then it became controversial. It seems there may be something similar going on with the concerned, comfortable Christians of Provo who seem to be voicing a prayer that says something similar to this. Lord, give me all thy choicest virtues, but be certain not to give me grief, nor sorrow, nor pain, nor opposition. Please don't let anyone dislike me or betray me, and please never let me fall into the painful grasp of addiction. And please help all the struggling addicts to get all the help and resources they need. However, don't allow them into my house. In fact, Lord, don't even allow them into my neighborhood, as I want to make sure not to have any of the rough experiences that made thee divine. And then when all the crippling rough sledding by all those reform addicts is over, please let me come and dwell with thee and them in heaven, where I can boast about how similar our strengths are as I float along on my cloud of comfortable Christianity. Here is the national law as stated by Fair Housing Act. Unless doing so would impose an undue burden, local governments must provide reasonable accommodation for sober homes. And here is God's law as stated by Thomas S. Monson. We must develop the capacity to see men not as they are at present, but as they may become. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hi, my name is Gregory Weffer, and I've been living in a sober living house for quite a while. John here, he's helped me a lot of times, and he's continuing to help me to be a better person and a better life. We recommend that if you pass, you help him out, you will help me out too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Gregory Weffer.
Gregory, thank you. Thank you for coming. Are there any others who wish to make public comment? If not, we'll close public comment and continue with the next agenda item, which is a resolution appointing Ryan York to the Metropolitan Water Board. This will be presented by Gordon Haight, our Public Works Director.
We had a crowded room, so I was all the way in the back, but it's good to be here. Thanks. So Metropolitan Water Board allows Provo City to designate a member of their board that is responsible for the water supply and distribution for the city. I am really pleased to recommend Ryan York. I want him to come up here. He didn't want to. So anyway, Ryan has been fantastic. He's been with the city for 28 years. He's currently our water superintendent that oversees our distribution and supply of our water system, and has been a critical element in making sure that we have the third best water in the United States. And he's shooting for number one. So I'd like to recommend Ryan as our designee for the Metropolitan Water Board. If you have any questions, grill him. I'm good with that.
Thank you, Gordon. Any questions for Gordon or for Ryan? We have water experts right here in front of us. Counselor Bogdan.
Sorry, Ryan, I can't resist because you didn't want to come up. I'm grateful that you stepped up for this job. Can you tell me why you want it?
I don't know that I can say I do want it. My predecessor, who taught me everything I know about water, was on the Metro Board for a number of years. And after his passing, I felt like I should carry the torch. Our previous Public Works Director was on the board. And then when he left, we've had a vacancy. I was happy to fill it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Ryan's been the liaison over the last year or so, so he's real familiar and been involved already.
Oh, I have no worries. It was mostly just because he didn't want to come up that I asked him a hard question.
That's good. I'm glad to do that.
Thanks, Becky.
You're so very welcome, Ryan.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.
Is there any council discussion on this appointment? If not, we'll call for a vote on the implied motion. Counselor McKay, I'm sorry, Counselor Christensen,
Yes.
Counselor Hanley,
Yes.
Counselor Bogdan,
Yes.
Counselor Hoban,
Yes.
Counselor Whipple,
Yes.
and Counselor Garrett, yes. So that resolution passes by a vote of 6-0. Thank you. Next, we have an implied motion on a resolution to place a 1.029 acre parcel located adjacent to South Fork Park in South Fork Canyon on the surplus property list and authorize the mayor to dispose of the property. This will be presented by Property Administrator, Provo City Property Administrator Tara Riddle.
Good evening. So just to reintroduce you to this property, this is a parcel that's just over an acre in size. It's located immediately adjacent to the South Fork Park. It's actually part of the undeveloped area of the park. The reason we're doing this is back in 2017, we traded some property with the Giles family for some property that we needed down on South State Street for a roadway and for some easement things that we needed. And instead of cash, they actually wanted to trade property for this up in South Fork. They own the property that's immediately adjacent. So this will become part of their residential area that they have there. Originally, we had entered into a 99-year lease with them with the stipulation that the property would be deeded to them upon their request. And so they've made that request now, so that's why we're doing this action. As we typically do with all of the properties that we're looking at surplusing, we went through a departmental review and it was approved by all of the departments that have any interest in this property, with the understanding that we would retain easements for pedestrian traffic as well as authorized vehicles to go up and take care of our public works facilities that we have in the area. Traditionally, we've had hikers that have used this roadway to get up to Bunnells Fork. Although we'll be allowing pedestrian traffic, we're going to be encouraging them to use a new trail system that our Parks Department will be creating in the Bunnells Fork Park. I understand they were just up there last week kind of staking out how that's going to work. They hope to have that done by the end of this summer. I think during study session, I said fall, but it sounds like they can do that a lot quicker. Those individuals that have been using this roadway in the past for parking horse trailers and things like that, they'll be encouraged to use the parking both at South Fork and also the equestrian park that's located just a mile or so up South Fork Canyon. That's all I have. If there's any questions.
Any questions for Tara? Counselor Christians.
Is the plan that the city is putting in place, will it accommodate horse trailers?
Yes. They can park their horse trailers up there now.
And it's pretty tight, and parking up the street and riding a horse down that road, it's not safe to ride a bike down that road. So I don't think we want horses on that road. So in the meantime, would they still have access to that road until the replacement is there?
I'm sure we can allow some parking there, but like I said, I think we're going to encourage them to use other parking. We can probably mark something out specifically for horse trailers. Ideally, it would be nice if they would just use the equestrian park where they'd have plenty of parking.
Yeah, it's just too far from Bunnells Fork is the problem.
So we can mark some spaces for them.
Okay. That would be important to my vote on this, because we do need a substitute for that. And again, the other parking, up the road, last thing we want is horses on that road.
Okay.
Our Parks and Rec Director Doug Robbins is here. Doug, would you mind speaking to that and other changes your department is making to align the new trail, including bridge access?
Sure. I believe James Cornaby was on site and looked at a new trail alignment up there. I think they're planning to use the existing bridge across and kind of use some of the terrain and follow contour up into the canyon as much as they can without having to cut much new trail. As far as horse parking, I don't know that he's planning any additional across the creek there. And you're right, it does, the parking along South Fork Road does get pretty congested.
It's dangerous.
So I just don't know that we'll be able to expand horse trailer parking at that congested area very much with this trail plan. I don't think we're planning for a large parking area is what I'm saying. It's mostly for the trail.
Yeah. And is there a reason we couldn't accommodate that?
We'd have to look at that. I think the plan that I'm aware of was just for the path, for the trail itself leading up into the canyon.
Okay, I'd love us to look at it.
Mhm.
And I know there's always trade-offs, with things you make like that, but citizens have been able to use that road. And now we're taking that road away. I'd love to be able to accommodate that with whatever it is we're putting in.
Yeah, we could certainly take a look at that.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Tara or Doug? This item is available for public comment. We'd like to invite any who are here who would like to make public comment to come to the podium. State your name and city of residence.
Hello, my name is Catherine Giles. I live in Provo. And to you, we've lived up, well, my brother lives up there now, but we've had the ranch. My dad had it before I was born. I do not know of anyone that parks their horse trailer up there but us. I didn't know that anybody did, and we're going to be missing it. But that's my only comment is no one has ever come up there and parked a horse trailer. Do we have lots and lots of cars of people that come up and park up there and hike and leave garbage and everything else? Yes. Horse people, never. They would never leave stuff like that. But all the horse people we know that use their horses up there know that they are welcome to ride their horses up there, and they've always parked down in the park. So I don't know who your constituent is. I would like to know who said they parked up there and would still like to. I know that last year we had a few on horseback that went up and did the trail for a month, and it's fabulous. And I encourage our horseback riders to ride it, but I have no idea who you're talking about because we've never had anybody but ours up there. Thanks.
Thank you, Catherine. Any others? If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item to council for discussion. Any comments or discussion, councilors? If not, we'll call for a vote on this implied motion. Councillor Handley.
Yes.
Councillor Bogdan.
Yes.
Councillor Hoban.
Yes.
Councillor Whipple.
Yes.
Councillor Garrett, yes. Councillor Christians.
Yes.
That item passes by a vote of 6-0 with Councillor McKay excused. Thank you. Next, we have an implied motion on a resolution approving the 2025 to 2029 consolidated plan and funding recommendations for the first year action plan. This will be presented by our RDA Director, Melissa McNally. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, thank you. So, so this brings our public comment period to an end also on our consolidated plan and year one annual action plan. Do we have the exhibits that we can put up there?
Is there any way we can turn the volume up on that podium mic?
Do you want me to speak closer?
Yeah,
Does
it
that
helps to
help?
speak
Sorry.
closer too.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll try and remember to do that. Okay. Do we have the, can we just skip to the funding exhibits? Sorry. I know you guys are really excited to read this 200-page document again, but we'll just skip it.
Do you remember which page that is, Melissa?
It's a separate exhibit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we have exhibit B as our CDBG funding. So this is what our committee recommended. And then exhibit C is our proposed home funding for the 25-26 program year. And if there are any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. And Counselor Bogdan, I did get an answer. A question was asked earlier on the Franklin neighborhood project safe routes funding, and I did reach out to Kahan, and because they aren't getting funded their full ask, but he did say that it's contingent on other funding that they get from the city. But there are intended bulb outs and ADA ramp improvements and light improvements. I believe the selected intersections are on 700 West at 300 and 400 South, both. So
3 and 4 or 3 and 7?
3 and 4 on 700 West.
No. Yeah, on 700 West. 3
700
and 4, not 3
300
and 5.
300 South and 400 South are what he has in the application.
300 South and 400 South.
So
Okay.
on 700 West.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know where 700 West is. When it was sent over to me, it was 500 South,
Okay.
not 400 South. But
Maybe
it's-
that's just for the CDBG funding and they have other funding for
Well, I
for
think
that.
4th dead ends into the school. So 5th goes all the way through, 4th dead ends into the school, and 3rd goes all the way through. So, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Sure. And that is all that I have for you. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Melissa on the consolidated plan? Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
This item is also available and open for public comment, which we'd like to open at this time if there are any who would like to speak. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to council for discussion. Any questions or comments, councilors? If not, we'll call for a vote. Councilor Bogdan,
Yes.
Councilor Hoban,
Yes.
Councilor Whipple,
Yes.
Councilor Garrett, yes. Councilor Christensen,
Yes.
and Councilor Hanley.
Yes.
That motion passes by a vote of 6-0 with Councilor McKay excused. Next, we have a resolution appointing Danny Mitchell as Provo City Constable to serve a 6-year term. This will be presented by our Administrative Services Director, John Borgett.
Thank you, Chair Garrett. It's a pleasure to be with you today, Mr. Council. Bob Connor, who has been the city constable since we opened the Justice Court, and by the way, I'd mentioned, done an amazing job, requested that he no longer be a constable. As a result, the city started the process of selecting a new constable. A nominating commission was established by the municipal council, which included the following individuals: Councilor Rachel Whipple, Brian Jones, Judge Steve Schreiner, Judge Rick Smith, and Chief Troy Beebe. A request for proposal was drafted and reviewed by the nominating commission and posted on the Bonfire, which is the state-approved electronic bidding system, for 2 weeks. 2 bidders responded, and after the nominating commission reviewed the responses and the credentials, they recommend Danny Mitchell as the Provo City Constable. I would mention that today in our work session, we had this discussion. We also, Danny Mitchell was in attendance, and the council had an opportunity to ask questions and interact. And so we're recommending this action. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Borgett? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
This item is available for public comment if any would like to make a comment. If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item to council for discussion. Any discussion or questions? Council members, Councilor Christensen?
No, I was just
Okay.
thinking it'd be helpful, Rachel, for you maybe to make a comment. You were part of the process and might be.
Absolutely. Councilor Whipple.
Yes, yeah, I got to talk about this a little bit in the work meeting today, but it was really useful to be able to go through the process
As Mr. Morgan said, we did do an RFP for the services that have been provided. And the two results that we got were vastly different. And so we have real confidence in the choice that we've made. We've also been able to talk to Danny. He was at our work meeting, and I've been able to, in the process, talk to many people who've worked with Danny. And I feel confident that he's a good choice to be constable. The last thing that Mr. Borga brought up in our work meeting today is that we did explore the possibility of having our police department provide the court services, because that was another option. And our chief was like, no, absolutely not. We do not want to do that right now. We just don't have the staffing capacity to do that, and it would cost us more to pay for our own police officers to provide those services than it does to do the contract. An interesting thing about these contracts is it's a lot of retired law enforcement officers and things like that. So that's part of the reason that the economics work for it. And we have people who are incredibly well trained, who understand the system and work well. And our justice court has been very happy with these services. They've worked with Danny personally for many years, and they're happy about the opportunity to work with them further. But it was an excellent exercise to go through the whole process to realize that we do have other options, to explore those before coming to a decision on this.
Thank you, Councillor Whipple. We'll go ahead and call for a vote on this implied motion then. Councillor Hoban?
Yes.
Councillor Whipple?
Yes.
Councillor Garrett, yes. Councillor Christensen?
Yes.
Councillor Handley?
Yes.
And Councillor Bogdan?
Yes.
That motion passes by a vote of 6-0 with Councillor McKay excused. Next, we have a resolution approving a lease agreement with PNC Bank for 80 electric golf carts over 5 years. This item will be presented to us by Provo City Golf Manager Brett Watson.
Chair Garrett, thank you so much for seeing me again. As the resolution states, this allows the golf course to transition from our fleet of gas carts into a new fleet of electric carts at no extra cost in the first year, and then a slow incremental change over the next 5 years. Any questions?
Any questions for Brett? Okay, thank you,
Want me
Brett.
to do the next one.
We're
as
going to
well,
do
or-
them individually here.
Okay,
Thank
so-
you. Dan, do you care to make any comment, or are there any questions for Mr. Follett relative to the financing? Okay. This item is open for public comment if there are any here who would like to make a comment. If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item to the council for discussion. Councillor Handley.
Yes, I just want to reiterate something I said in the work session about the positive step of electrifying the entire fleet. I think that'll make a significant difference in terms of air quality. Not to mention, I'm sure customer satisfaction is going to be a lot higher. It's less noisy and so on, less polluting. So I think it's a great step.
Thanks, Councillor Handley. Anyone else? All right, we'll call for a vote then on this item. Councillor Whipple.
Yes.
Councillor Garrett, yes. Councillor Christensen.
Yes.
Councillor Handley.
Yes.
Councillor Bogdan.
Yes.
And Councillor Hoban.
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes by a vote of 6-0. Next, we have a resolution approving a lease agreement with Zions Bank for golf course maintenance equipment over 5 years, also presented by Brett Wilson.
Thank you again. As stated, this will, basically the best way to put it is this allows us to replace an aging fleet of maintenance equipment, but also gets us a lot faster to getting all electric in there as well. As I stated in the work session, I think that we can accomplish that in under 5 years, and hopefully by the 5th year of this lease payment, we can go autonomous and fully electric in our
turf fleet as well. So any questions on that?
Wonderful. Thank you, Brett. Any questions for Brett? Thank you, Brett. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to this item and offer a public comment? If not, we'll bring the item to council for discussion. Seeing none, we'll go ahead with a vote. Counselor Garrett, yes. Counselor Christensen,
Yes.
Counselor Henley,
Yes.
Counselor Bogdan,
Yes.
Counselor Hoban,
Yes.
and Counselor Whipple.
Yes.
Thank you. This item passes by a vote of 6-0 with Counselor McKay excused. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution regarding year-end appropriations in the Airport Fund, General Fund, and Justice Court Fund for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, presented by Budget Analyst Andrea Wright.
Good evening. We presented this in the May 20th work meeting. It's proposed that the council consider 5 appropriations as part of the year-end budget reconciliation process. The first recommendation is to appropriate $267,000 in the general fund for police and fire wages. The second recommendation is the $267,000 to give that budget in the general fund, so we can pay them first, and then the airport will go ahead and reimburse the general fund. The third recommendation is an appropriation for $80,000 for police's personnel, protection equipment, and ammo expenses. Fourth recommendation is an appropriation of $75,000 in the general fund for unanticipated utility costs for the park maintenance. And then the fifth recommendation is $20,000 in the general fund for the unanticipated indigent defense costs. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Andrea? Thank you, Andrea. This item is available for public comment if there are any here who would like to speak. If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item to the council for discussion. Any comments or questions, council members? All right, we'll go ahead and call for a vote then. Counselor Christensen,
Yes.
Counselor Hanley,
Yes.
Counselor Bogdan,
Yes.
Counselor Hoban,
Yes.
Counselor Whipple,
Yes.
and Counselor Garrett, yes. That item passes by a vote of 6-0 with Counselor McKay excused. Thank you. We will now have the first of 2 public hearings required for the next fiscal year budget. We'll invite John Borgett, our Administrative Services Director, to introduce this item.
Thank you, Chair Garrett. So the purpose for the public hearing is to allow citizens the opportunity to express their opinions to the council regarding the city budget. I would mention that the city budget is $323,326,393. And I would also mention to the residents that if you go onto the city website and go on to the section where it asks for information that you're looking for, you click down, you'll see the city budget down below, and you can pull it up and look at it electronically. I'd also mention, and I thought that the presentation earlier on the citizen budget is a great resource also to go in and look at the summarized information as was mentioned before, but we are here. And I would also just want to mention that the notice for the public hearings was made, and it's meeting the guidelines that are set by the state for both today and then on the 17th. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So the citizens budget that was presented earlier by Megan, John, the citizens residents would find that in the same place at the bottom of the page, next to the more detailed budget, a link.
That's a real good question for council staff. Do you know, Malia?
They're not currently on the same spot on the website, but we can do that. We can add
Okay.
it.
I think it's a
so
great
in the
place to put
same
it.
spot.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
That's an easy
thank you.
fix.
Okay, great.
Any questions for John? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now open the public hearing then and invite any who are here that would like to speak to the fiscal year 2025-2026 Provo City budget to approach the podium. Seeing no public comment, we'll close the public hearing at this time. And we will have our second public hearing on the budget 2 weeks from today on Tuesday, June 17th, after which time the council will vote on the proposed budget. We'll now adjourn the municipal council meeting by unanimous consent and convene the Stormwater Service District Governing Board. And we'll now have a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2025-2026 Stormwater Service District Budget. This will be presented by Budget Analyst Andrea Wright.
So the purpose of this public hearing is to allow citizens to express their opinions to the council regarding the storm water service district budget. The dollar amount for fiscal year 2026 is $3,377,000, or sorry, $377,755. This was also noticed at the same time of the public hearing for the city's budget, redevelopment's budget, and stormwater's budget, noticing that we will have the public hearing today and in 2 weeks. Are there any questions?
Great, thank you, Andrea. Questions for Andrea? Councillor Bogdan.
Yes.
And this isn't just to delay it so that Craig loses it. I do have a real question. Jimmy, did we get this fixed so that it doesn't show all those things in the red?
Yes, we did.
Right.
And if you go and pull up the current tentative budget on the website, you can go and look at it.
And it'll
And
have
it's
it.
updated. Yep.
Okay, because it didn't have anything in our prep work. So I was just curious if there's
Yes.
just a bunch of,
That was communicated
with
to
it.
Justin, and then I don't know if it was sent to you guys and let you know. But the updated one is there. You can go and look at all of the fund balances.
okay, thank you,
A
Andrea.
better way to review the fund balances off of more accurate.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. We'll now begin the public hearing for the Stormwater Service District Budget. If there is anyone here who would like to comment on this budget, they can approach the podium. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and invite any board discussion. If there are no questions or discussion, we'll look forward to our second public hearing on this budget in 2 weeks. We'll now adjourn the Stormwater Service District Governing Board and convene the RDA Governing Board by unanimous consent, and turn the time over to our RDA Chair, Rachel Whipple.
Hello, friends. We will now have a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2025-2026 Provo City Redevelopment Agency budget. This will be presented by Andrea Wright.
The purpose for this public hearing is to allow citizens to express their opinion to the council regarding the Provo City Redevelopment Agency budget in the dollar amount of $1,488,791. This was also noticed as well for the public hearing that's happening tonight and in the one in 2 weeks. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will now open this item for public comment. Seeing no public comment, we will now close the public comment on this item. Do we have any board discussion? All right. Thank you all. If there's no objection, we will now adjourn the RDA Governing Board by unanimous consent.
Thanks to everyone for coming tonight.
Thanks all.
Recording stopped.